Hello everyone, Alicia here with another Lighten Up Weight Watcher friendly recipe. And today, now that we are in fall, I thought it would be fun to show you how I do my low sugar or no sugar added 0-point crock-pot apple pie filling. Now this apple pie filling is great from everything from apple pies to using it in different desserts that you would typically use like a canned apple pie filling in. It's great as a topping, it's great all by itself. It's just really good stuff. And the fact that it's 0 points makes it even better. Plus, I love anytime I can use my crock pot in the fall especially. So this is based actually off of a crock pot applesauce that I love to do. I took that recipe, kind of adapted it, and made it to where it was more apple pie filling and less applesauce. But again, I love this one and it's very simple to make. So let me jump in and show you what you're gonna need to make it. First off, I've got some Granny Smith apples here. What I'm gonna be looking for is 8 cups chopped total. So that's gonna be anywhere between probably 6 and 8 medium-sized apples. So I've got more than enough here to get that 8 cups chopped. Now, you can use a different type of apple if you're not a fan of the Granny Smith. That's usually my preferred when it comes to things like apple pie filling. I like the tartness of the apple contrasted with the sweetness that's in the filling. Plus the Granny Smith, the texture of it just really holds up well in this type of a thing. So that's my preferred apple, but you could definitely use something else if you wanted. You could also use a mixture of Granny Smith and maybe a sweeter apple if you want. I've done that before. That works well too, but again, this is my preferred. Next up for sweetener in this, I've got the Lakanto Classic. I'm gonna be using a 1/4 cup of that and then a 1/4 cup of the Golden. Now these are just my preferred sweeteners when it comes to the no calorie sweetener. I know there's a lot of them out there. I've tried most of them and this is just my preference, but you can use whatever type of no calorie sweeteners that you want in the Classic and the Golden. Here I've got a lemon. I am gonna be looking for about a tablespoon of lemon juice from this. You can also use from concentrate if you want. I've got some apple pie spice. Now I make my own. I will put a link up to the video where I show making that and the pumpkin pie spice. But you're gonna need 1.5 teaspoons of apple pie spice. And if you don't have or don't wanna use apple pie spice, you can also use cinnamon instead. You're also gonna need a teaspoon vanilla extract, about a 1/4 teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons cornstarch, and that is everything that is in it. Like I said, very simple, very easy to make, but absolutely delicious. So let's get it started. And I almost forgot, you are also gonna need a 1/2 cup of water. I had that set aside and it didn't get in here. But anyway, that will be down in the list of ingredients, as always, down in the description box. First thing I'm gonna do is get my apples here peeled and chopped up. They're also very well washed. And I've got this Pyrex measuring cup here that's a 4 cup. I'm just gonna fill this twice and dump those into my crock pot here. Now, when it comes to peeling these, you don't necessarily have to. If you're one that doesn't care about the peels being on, you can leave that on. I have done it both ways, especially when I do my applesauce. A lot of the times I will leave the peel on. But for this application, I am gonna go ahead and remove the peel. So I'm gonna do that, get these all peeled and chopped up, and then I will be back. And then real quick, after I get these peeled, I like to just use an apple slicer here, or cutter, to get my pieces kind of as even as possible. That just makes them a little more even when I cut them. And then I just cut those in, usually like 4ths, like that. So this is the size of piece, roughly, that I'm going for. But you can do these smaller, bigger, just kind of depends on how chunky you want your apple pie filling to be. Got my apples all chopped up and in my crock pot. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in my sweeteners, my 1/4 cup Lakanto Classic and my 1/4 cup Lakanto Golden. And I did end up using 7 apples total to get that 8 cups. I'm gonna add in my apple pie spice. 1.5 teaspoons, 1/4 teaspoon salt, a teaspoon vanilla. I'm gonna just give that a quick stir. I'm gonna take my lemon and I'm gonna squeeze Put a tablespoon of juice in there. Now I'm gonna take my water and I'm gonna add my 2 tablespoons cornstarch to it. And I'm gonna just stir that together, make a slurry, pour that in, give those apples another good stir. Now I'm gonna put the lid on, set it to low, and I'm gonna let this cook for probably about 2 to 3 hours, and I'm gonna stir it occasionally. I let this cook for just over 2 hours, about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I also stirred it, I would say, a good 3 times during that time, the cooking time. So it is definitely done. I'll show you what it looks like. Apples are definitely nice and soft. And again, that's kind of a preference thing, depending on how soft you want them and what you're gonna actually be using this for. If you're gonna use this in a pie, you probably wanna cook it a little bit less than what I did, so your apples aren't quite that soft. But if you're gonna use it as a topping or in a dessert, like what I'm gonna be using it for, I think this is a nice texture to those apples, or consistency. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cover this back up. I've got the heat turned off. So I'm gonna cover it and just let it kind of cool down almost to room temp. So I'll probably let it sit here for about an hour, and then I'll show you how I store this. I let this cool down, and I went ahead and just put it in a quart size mason jar here. And you can see it's pretty full. And then I had this much left that wouldn't fit in. So this makes just about 5 cups total. So this is what I will typically do, is just put it in a jar, put a lid on it, and then I'll store that in my fridge for a few days. It lasts a good, I don't know, 4 days, 4 to 5 days, I would say. It's usually gone well before that point. And then my little extra here, I'll just go ahead and eat. So I've got this factored in at 5 1-cup servings, and that is 0 points per serving. Like I said, I love this because it's 0 points. It's so versatile. You can do so many different things with it. You can also freeze this if you don't think you're going to use it all, or, you know, have the recipe. But what I typically do with this is either just eat it, use it as a topping, or in this case, I'm going to be using it in a dessert. Like I said, it makes a great substitute anytime you're using a recipe that calls for a canned apple pie filling. And, you know, the fact that it's 0 points is pretty nice. But anyway, guys, that was my 0 point, no sugar added crock-pot apple pie filling. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. And be sure to check down in the description box below, where you'll find the full list of instructions, ingredients, WW recipe builder link, calories, macros, points, all that's going to be down in the description box. But thank you guys, as always, for watching, and I will see you on the next one.